Hello everyone. I hope you can see me and hear me all right. Please let me know if that's the case, because today we're gonna dive deep into the creation of of the universe, of life, of duality. Um, all right, awesome. Hello everyone. So far, I see there are many people joining, which is great. Um, Happy to be here with you. Um, Yeah, my name is Alex Buta, and I'm an ascension coach, also an integration coach, and a writer. And I love also making music and musical journeys and many other things. So, yeah, today I want to speak with you, to you, about darkness and how to integrate darkness and what actually is darkness, because I feel that there's so much misunderstanding around this concept and the dark and light, a dynamic, and basically the laws of the universe, the duality of how this creation is made of, right? So yeah, I want to put a little bit of awareness on that, and of how important it is to integrate our darkness, and how when we do that we naturally express our light version of ourselves. We are then able to play in the light, right, and be the conscious creators that we already are. And yeah, basically that's what I want to speak with you about today. And yeah, well, I'm happy to see people tuning in from everywhere in the world. I see from Poland. Hi Kate. Hi Sally from UK. From Vancouver, Canada. Hi Nancy. From Istanbul, from Australia, Chicago. Yeah, I love it. All over the world. Um, from Manila. Hey, Pau. Yeah, I hope you guys enter this new year in a very different energy than you were maybe in the last year. I feel that this year it's more about um, expressing what we already integrated in the last year, and also um, standing up and showing up more in our wholeness and in our integrity as beings, on this planet, when we get to be more self-aware of who we are and our power and so on. So, because the topic of today is integrating darkness, I want to speak about it. I want to start it right now. I think there are enough people in. Yeah, so how this will go, I'm gonna, say some things about it, ask you some questions maybe to see how you relate with these things, if this makes sense for you. And at the end of it, I'm open for Q&A, so you guys can, um, yeah, just drop there your questions and whatever it's on your mind regarding this, whatever you need to know, whatever you feel inspired to ask, please do so. And let's see how this goes. So basically, I'm going to start from the beginning of everything, basically beginning of the creation, right? um, where I like to explain it this way. um, it's hard to describe this in a very human way for the mind to understand, but I found, um, for myself, the best explanation that makes sense for me. And also when I work with people and whatever I'm doing, um, it's it's so far the best way that makes sense for them. So basically, when this whole universe was made, when this whole creation was made, there was basically one single cell, right? And this single cell then, um, in order to explore itself, right? Like the cell was simply become self-aware that she is conscious, right? So from that point on, in order to explore itself even further, what it did, it duplicated itself and it created two cells, basically. And what are these cells? One is the plus, and one is the minus, which is exactly also the dynamic that we find in every cell, in every atom, right? In every molecule, there's this plus and minus, and the duality, the polarity, and the purpose of the plus, basically. And if you want the masculine energy, it can also associate with the masculine energy, is to it's a very active energy. It's an energy that creates, it's an energy that explores, it's an energy that builds, And the minus energy is the energy that reflects back to the plus the creation. It's like a mirror, right? Like a mirror effect. And that minus, basically, if you want, is the mission, and the plus cell is the purpose. So the purpose is action based, while the mission is there. It just shows up. Look, this is what you created, right? And if you want, you can associate the minus cell with the feminine side, or how I like to call it, the darkness, while the plus cell is the light. And if you look about it this way, if you look into the whole creation, into the whole universe, you can see that everything that is matter, everything that has a shape or form, it can be it can be just flow of energy, it can be gas, it can be everything that is literally seen, right, or perceived as an energetic imprint. It has an energetic signature. Maybe you don't see it with the eyes, as the spirit is, the light body is, right? We don't see it with the open eyes, but we know it's there. So everything that has this form or shape that can be somehow identified and put in a definition, that's the light, because it's there. It appears to be, right. It's something very known to the eye, or to our feelings, or whatever interpretation we give it. So we can see this light in many forms in our universe. The sun, right? The planets, and all objects in the universe, the galaxy, the clusters and web clusters, all of these are basically, one way or another, a light form with different density, with different frequency, right? So what is then the darkness? Well, the darkness is the space that holds that light, is the void, the raw, unmanifested material, the antimatter, or however scientists call it, in order to give it a little bit of explanation. And that's basically the raw, unmanifested energy that is there, holding the whole light, basically. There is no um, light without the darkness being there, right? Like light cannot shine if there's no darkness. And the same principle applies in everything in life, from every life form that exists, no matter what density it has. Either it's very dense, like a rock, like a plant, or a human, a flesh being, or an animal, or is maybe a star, or a planet, and everything. It has the same dual principles within itself already. And us as humans, we see that as dark, as a dark and light, or as feminine and masculine, right? Like this is how we perceive these energies. And the thing is with the darkness is that we completely misunderstand it on a collective level, on an individual level. All the time we kind of try to push it away, we run away from it, because we associate it with evil. Why? Because it's simply unknown, right? It's not seen and not perceived by the eyes, and we cannot give it a form, or a shape, or an identity, so therefore what do? We say, we create so many attachments and stories that it's evil and maleficent, and it wants to take over, and it wants to all of that, and destruct, and so on, because we don't know how to grasp this energy. We don't know how to put it into a form of shape, so that the mind feels safe. It feels in a safe container. Well, I know what that is. Therefore, now I have certainty. It makes sense. And yeah, on the opposite, we know what light is. Light is visible. Light is easy to identify. You see the sun every day. coming up, and you feel good when it shines, and so on. So, but I can show you a demonstration where also light can be perceived as evil or as damaging or destroying. Because if you sit too much into the sun, you get burned, right? So what do? You immediately seek for shadow, for darkness, in order to balance, and in order to feel safe. So no matter which side you choose, both have the same meaning. It's just in our mind we create this perception that darkness is evil. And why is that? It is because of the fact that it's unknown. What we did with our minds, we fear it. When we fear it, we push it away, we avoid it, we ignore it, or even worse, we suppress it. And we did this through millennia, um, and everything that was unknown in the history of humanity was in the beginning of it. It was repelled, it was pushed away. And I can give you an example. For example, the first person who said that the earth is round, what happened? It was pushed away. It was considered crazy, lunatic. How come? Like, come on, the earth is literally flat, or whatever. There was like a concept that no one could believe that. Or there are many other examples when we find out that, for example, earth moves around the sun and so on. No one could believe that. Like, everyone who said that, it was like, no, you must be, they were put in prison and sometimes even killed. Why? Because they brought a concept which is unknown, right? So the same we do with darkness. We put it in a, sorry? Yes, exactly, Rebecca. We are taught that darkness is evil, and it's yeah. I wanted to bring more awareness on this right now. So basically, for me, what darkness means is the raw creation force, and which is undefined, unknown. And if you want, you can call that the feminine. We come from darkness ourselves. We come from the womb of creation, of the feminine, right? We come from nothingness, from the void. We become incarnated into light, into matter, into, first of all, spirit, then light and matter, and then we become this body. So we are initiated from darkness. We are raised in darkness. In the womb is dark, right? It's unknown. If you will be aware of it, and just open your eyes when you're little in the womb and be aware of where you are, you would think that you're in a prison, right? And you actually are very safe in your mother's womb, waiting to be brought into the world and have this human experience. So basically, you can give this example also with a butterfly. If the when before it is a butterfly, there's this caterpillar in the cocoon. Now, if the caterpillar will be able to open its eyes and see itself where it is, it might freak out. It doesn't know that it can become a butterfly, right? So, yeah, basically, um, the darkness can be expressed as the feminine, as the light can be expressed as the masculine, because the masculine is clear, its action is there for you to see. It's the whole light. And if you can see this as a reflection in our society, how much we pushed emotions away and the feminine side, and and suppressed it, even oppressed it, right? We as a very patriarchal society, we were having just one direction, one linear way. Like, this is the way, this is how we do it. We have control here. Here is a known, and let's do this and move on. Target acquired. Let's do everything. Let's destroy. Let's create wars. Let's create this thing in the world that we now experience as unbalanced, right? So then what we have to do then is to look back into ourselves, to look back within and say, hey, where did we didn't get it? When did we understood this concept of who we are in the whole creation? Um, what is this whole thing that we are experiencing here, and how do we navigate this? Why do we suffer, right? Like, why do we suffer? We suffer because we see everything as separate from us, because we see darkness as separate from us. We see we see it as evil, therefore we judge it, and because we are all one, we are all we are all the same source energy manifested into different forms and shapes toward the universe. When it comes to, like, from large scale to galaxies to suns to planets and so on, through animals and plants and humans, this is all energy. This is all an expression of the divine, if you want, or of source energy. I like to call it source energy because it has less stigma around it. You can call it even God or higher self, or however you call it. All of this energy basically is aware of itself, and it's aware of its power, and all of this energy works with light and darkness. They are tools. They are tools of creation. You cannot live a human life without darkness. It's impossible, and we pushed that away. We don't want it. We want only light. We want only positive feelings all the time, and there's nothing wrong about that. Of course, we want it because on a source level, we are just plain bliss beings. We are just pure energy, so there is no contrast. So, yeah. Um, what I want to mention right now is that so many people, especially in the spiritual community and conscious community, because they don't really understand how this dark light dynamic functions, they didn't master the duality within or integrate the darkness within. When they experience something, and even when they want to create something, when they want to bring something into the world, a service, a business, or whatever that is, which is light oriented. It's a light service, like they want to serve the light. But what happens is that if the darkness is not integrated, that can have some self-sabotaging constructs that from the background, from the behind, that can come and sabotage whatever you're creating, or make you have resistance, or make you feel blocked and stuck on your journey. And that usually is because people simply avoid integrating the darkness, avoid looking into the shadows and see what is there to integrate or not. Because, as I said, darkness is not evil. The shadow of the darkness can be evil. Darkness is pure power, pure force. It's a transformational force. It's a force that can destroy something. But for in the universe, there's a lot of it's the law of creation, of destruction. So uh, basically, everything what is created at some point will be shaped or reshaped or destroyed in order to leave room for another creation. It's how the life cycles, the universal cycle functions. This is how the laws are in our universe, right? So um, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's the power of darkness: reshaping something, remodeling something, fine-tuning something. Even when you yourself you write a book. An example: you write a book, and the first draft you will edit it. You will use uh, destruction of what you created in order to reshape it again in a different form. So there's no problem with darkness. Darkness has to be understood as just a power, just a tool. Where the problem is when we identify with the mind and fear darkness because it's unknown, then we create shadows around that, right? We create so many thought forms and entities that are simply sabotaging our journey. And those things are the shadows. It's like basically the shadow of the dark. And this is what we can see, if you want, as evil, because it's our fear projected into a thought form, which we then call entity. It has no spirit. It has nothing, but it's just a thought form, expressed into the universe, which let's say it attaches to everything that consumes the same frequency, right? It's fear-based thought which eats fear-based thought and attaches to people who are in a low density, in a low frequency, uh, so that it consumes their fear. It's how it gets fed. So we call that's the evil, right? Like that's the demons and the spirits which are evil and so on. And if we go on the journey to face our darkness, and if we are aware of these dynamics and how it functions, how they function, then we are able to discern where we want to be, what is us and what is not, and we can actually do our shadow work if we ourselves have some thought forms and things that they don't serve us on our evolutionary journey, right? Like this, as I said, we create out of fear, out of wounds from childhood or abuse or conditioning or programming. We can create these shadow thoughts around us, and we are not aware of them. Therefore, they sabotage us. And when this happens, it it makes us not be, not feel the juiciness of this creation, the amazingness of being human, the beautiful uh, act of being alive and be present, right? So the only thing that needed here is to simply look within us and simply see where did we create these thought forms, these shadow forms, this distortion from darkness. When did that happen, right? Okay, so you can hear me. All right. It's so delayed sometimes and just makes some problems. And when I'm in the flow, then I cannot see what you guys write. So, um, yeah, so I was saying um, that, yeah, then we have to integrate our darkness, right? Like that's the only, basically, if you ask me, that's the only journey that actually um, matters on this ascension journey that we are going on right now is um, first of it, right? Like not that it's ultimately the ultimate path, but in order to activate our light, in order to be safe and playful in our light, and to be comfortable, be in love and loving others, and show up in our sovereignty and wholeness and integrity, we need to face and integrate our darkness. Period. That's literally key. And how we do that, right? Like there are so many ways to do that. And for my journey and what I work and what I do with people, I found out that the best way to do that is simply to feel the emotions, to not be afraid of them. First of all, realize they're just emotions. They are like thoughts. There's nothing. We are so good with thoughts. We like so much to overthink, but when we feel the emotions of something, we are afraid of it. We don't want it, right? Because it feels more real. It feels more. It's just the chemistry in our body that creates an emotion. And if it's unpleasant, and if it continues, if it perpetuates, then we look into it and see where this emotion stemmed from. What's the root of that? Maybe it's an abandonment issue or a self-worth issue or something. And we just have to call upon our memory and talk with ourselves, talk with our soul, and literally ask yourself, hey, why is this emotion in my body? I want to see the memory when this happened first time in my life. Like in my example, I had a wound around abandonment, because I had a lot of rejection from my father when I was growing up and so on. And I grew up with that, and that was manifested in my relationships and everywhere, and in my business, in my work, in everything I did. And uh, then I asked myself at some point, hey, where is this abandonment? Where is this self-worth rejection feeling? There were many, there was like a chemistry of emotions happening. Where did they come from? And I could see that it came in the moment when my father simply said to me some things that created a traumatic event in my life, in my consciousness. And I was very little at that point, so I didn't knew. Therefore, I walked through life and did in life things with this defensive mechanism of not being rejected or not feeling abandoned, right? Like even doing this live here with you guys. Um, yeah, even doing these lives with you, I was so insecure at some point to do these things because I was like, what would people think and how would they judge me? And yeah, to integrate these things, what I did was just feeling that emotion, allowing it to be resolved within myself. I was accepting it, then I gave love to that part of me who felt rejected, felt abandoned. I consciously went to that memory and I saw myself in that moment in time when it happened, and I sent love to that being, to that person that I was back then. And I did this with everything that was in my life, which was stemming from a wound or a trauma or a programming that was not mine, that I picked up in childhood and so on. And yeah, basically, if you can send it compassion, if you can send compassion to that part of yourself, and if there is someone causing that, if someone abused you, if someone in any way created in you such split energy and such a wound, then you have to do that for yourself and also for that person. You have to forgive that person eventually, and in order to cut the ties, in order to liberate yourself. It's not because they deserve to be forgiven or whatever. It's because of you. You want to be liberated, you know. And this is how you integrate step by step, basically your darkness, and you navigate your subconscious mind and your memory with awareness. It all it takes. When you feel an emotion that is not pleasant within, go there and see why that happens. If it repeats, sometimes it might be something that you pick up from the society, from the world, and it might not be yours. But if it feels that you constantly repeat the same pattern, you see in your life that is a cycle that still repeats, and there's an emotion that is attached to that, then go within and see and face that emotion. I have some tools to do that also. I share the guided meditation um, on the Insight Timer on my profile page. There's like some guided meditation. One is to connect with source, and one is to uh, heal your inner child, and this is another one which is pending for approval, which is how to do powerful shadow work. Therefore, check my page and see what resonates already for you, and check for the next meditation, which will be released very soon, which will help you do, like, it will guide you literally to do the shadow work and the integration within you. It's amazing. On YouTube I had already a lot of interactions with it, so it's people love it. So I put it on the platform here exclusively for us, for you, for everyone. Yeah, I hope you guys heard so much. Yeah, and from now on, even the fact that now you know how to um, to make the difference between what is darkness, what is light, and what is the shadow of the darkness, then it's easier for you to simply understand this concept, and have a better structure of how to navigate it. I hope that's the case, and I hope this makes sense for you. Um, yeah, and well, thank you, Mary. I see, like, my trauma from my father was very much addressed and healed so far on my journey. I did that repeated times, so it's all good. Thank you, though, for your thoughts and words. Yeah, and what do I want to say? I want to give a little example. The infinity, or as I explained in the beginning, the both of these these cells of creation, the duality, right? This is basically it. Let's see it as an infinite, right? Constantly in life, we are going from this point to this point, which we can see this point as light, and we can see this point as darkness, in order to integrate. So it's a cycle, right? And the best place to be, if you can be here, I cannot show very clearly, but if you can be here in the middle, when you have both perspectives, when you keep, you are present, and you have dark and light as a tool, and you can navigate your human experience, knowing that you will experience light things in life, you will experience dark things in life, and it's nothing personal. It's just how life functions. And when your perspective shifts, then your consciousness grows, and then you can experience joy and peace no matter what. That's the point of it. Like, literally, I experienced peace and joy when I was in the most suffering moments and deep moments in my life. I could do that. Eventually, I managed to be at peace with those moments, and it felt so much like a relief, like a liberation, right? And every time I feel I'm in a dark space, in a dark place, um, I I accept it, I send it love, and I see why it's there, and what it helps me do further. It's like a contrast. It helps me reshape my experience. It helps me have a different perspective all the time. So keep this in mind, and always stay in the middle of this infinity, of this both light and dark. If you can keep the awareness in the middle, then you are in the center of it all. You are in the middle all the time. You're balanced. You're in integrity. I'm glad it makes sense, Rose. And guys, now there's like a few minutes left. Please, if you want, drop your questions. If you have any questions regarding this or anything that you want to express, please do so, and I will try to answer them as they come. Whatever resonates with the most, whatever I feel drawn to. Yes, Pixie, that's right. It won't shift until it's love and acceptance. Yes. We can, in the moment when we accept it, is when we release the resistance. When we release the resistance, we can move on. We are connected. We connect with source again. Source flows again to the body. We have no resistance. My pleasure, Jenny. My pleasure, Jillian. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Oh, Kathy said something here. She says that I'm glad it makes sense, Rose. I feel pain and suffering for the cruelty to animals. How do I cope with that? It's unbearable for me. Well, first of all, realize one thing. By the way, I'm a plant-based. I'm a vegan myself. I don't eat animals. I don't consume meat, and I have no problems with those who do. At the same time, because I understand that there are certain levels of perception and understanding, and everyone does whatever their body uh, is used to, and whatever they train their body to do, and so on, and whatever the impulses and intuition is. But what I learned from my journey, because I was so empathizing with the animals and everything, and with the whole thing that happened on the planet, is to simply, to simply realize that whatever I give attention to, I feel that energy back, right? And I cannot suffer enough for those animals to get better. What I can do though is to show up as an example and to integrate. Okay, these animals do suffer. We do um, treat them in a horrible way sometimes when we do our food, our meat industry and so on. But how to go about it is to simply, if you want to change something, uh, show up differently. Promote a new thing, promote a different diet, promote something that is um, you know uh, opposite of that which you don't like to see in the world, or simply ignore it, because no matter how much you suffer with those animals, nothing can change if you suffer with them. You can shift your vibration, shift your frequency, and from there, the outcome can shift as well. You can do something about it. You can feel inspired to do something about it. I had a platform where I promote veganism and so on in the past, and I reached a huge amount of people, and I felt satisfied within me that I did something for those animals. So if you feel inspired to do that, good. If not, then you can, who knows, like show people how to eat without harming animals. There are many ways, but don't do it with force. Don't do it with creating separation and judgment. That's not gonna be helping anyone. I did that, and I end up being alone and resisting everyone. And in the beginning, it's all about equality and allowing everyone to express the way they are, the way they want to, the way they understand. Okay, how do you deal? Another question: how do you deal with the darkness that accompanies grief? Well, basically, you grieve. You allow the grief to be. Depends on why you grieve. For example, you can grieve someone who you lost a loving member in your life, someone who you love deeply. Well, you have two choices. Either you are sorry and you regret that the person is dead and is not there anymore, or you simply celebrate that the person was alive and you get to experience her or him, and you celebrate his existence. I can give you another example. I'm here in Bali. I live in Bali for 2 years and a half now, and here people are celebrating. There's no at funeral. There's no funeral where people mourn or it's another tragedy. It's a celebration. They do music. They chant it. They celebrate the life of that person. So it's a shift in how we see it, how we perceive it, because they don't die, they just transition, their energy transitions. And yeah, I hope this helps. It's a grief situation regarding with a death, which may be the deepest, one of the deepest ways of being at grief. So I hope it helps. uh, okay, Janet asked another question that I want to respond. She said that I understand the negative energy of resistance, but how do we let go? I meditate daily and seek equanimity. Well, that's a good way to meditate and to you realize the resistance, you meditate and you shift into alignment again, and you feel good about it again. And if it's too strong, if the resistance is also too strong, then you can look deep within it and see why is that. What makes the resistance so strong? Where is the contrast happening? Where is the friction happening? And from there you can you can do something about that. You can shift the energy, you can recalibrate again, you can see it as an opportunity for you to again to reshape your experience. To, let's say, resistance, for example, in my case, resistance comes a lot when I want to manifest something, when I'm creating something that I don't see necessarily right in that moment the results of it, and there's resistance, and I doubt it because I'm looking at the physical manifestations of what is happening right now, and that manifestation that I want is not there yet. So my mind starts to be concerned about it, and create this resistance. And I just simply, um, I'm realizing that this is a normal process because we tend to look at life through these physical eyes and existence. We don't understand that there's a vibrational uh, experience before it becomes physical, right? So whatever we create on a consciousness level, then first of all, it's already there. It's already created in the quantum field. Then it becomes physical, and there's a process that it has to happen. It's like, uh, let's say, the farmer who plants the seeds into the soil. Um, he doesn't expect tomorrow for the seed to grow right into a flower, into the crop or whatever. He just waits patiently and understands that it takes time for that to happen, and he does what it can do best so that he's in a good energy, so that he can nourish the land further and so on. He doesn't uh, dig for the seed to see, oh, did you grow? No. Okay, and you know what I mean? It leaves it be. It's a process that we have to understand. It's a process. It's a cycle. And yeah, you just go with the path of least resistance in that moment. Then when you feel the resistance is very strong, then go with whatever feels less resistant to you in that moment, because you are already in the momentum, so it's not much you can do about it. Then to accept it and let go, and slowly you can meditate, or you can go with the path that is appearing as less resistant for you in that moment. Um, Someone asked if we can remain in meditative state all the time. Is it good or not? Well, I have a I have a very different concept about this, different perspective. I didn't came into this human experience to constantly meditate. That's for sure. I came here to enjoy it. I came here to observe it. I came here to create things, to reshape it, to transform it, to express myself, to simply explore it, and engage with it, and reflect myself in other people and in the whole existence. So definitely I wouldn't meditate the whole time. That feels for me like a you know like a waste of time, because I came here to be alive, right? So um, I don't see meditation, like long meditations, as something useful much, unless it's for a purpose, unless you do it for a ritual and a ceremony in order to self-reflect and understand yourself better for a little while, yes. But from there, then you become alive and you engage with life, and you keep it balanced. You can meditate for, I don't know, I meditate for 15, 20 minutes a day max. And I can also meditate while writing, while doing music, while listening to music. There are many ways to meditate, by working out and so on. So yeah, depends what you want. Uh, okay, guys, I'm gonna answer another question, and that's it for today. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, someone asked, is giving an animal the best possible life and the best possible death the perfect integration of darkness and light? In a way, yes, it can reflect that for you if that's what you want to choose. But it's just about, I see that it's about you, first of all. So it's about you giving yourself that permission, giving yourself the best life and the best death if you want, and allowing yourself to be alive in the wholeness of who you are, in your full authenticity. You don't have to do that on someone else, because when you do it for yourself, when you love yourself unconditionally, and when you simply pressure, you cherish the life that you have, and you're thankful for your life experience, that ultimately reflects on everything you do, in your relationships, in your work, everything you touch. It becomes, that frequency, it's like it's contagious. Your frequency is contagious. So you do it first on yourself, and then the impact on the outside will be not even necessarily to do anything. It just happens by default, because of who you are, because of what you did within you. All right, guys. So there's a lot of um, you here today. I like this. So this was my first live, by the way, here on Inside Timer, and I think it's going great. I'm gonna do this again next week at the same time, and it's gonna be about integration of your multidimensional self, of your multidimensionality, and we're gonna dive deep into what we are on a soul on a soul level, on a physical level, on a conscious, on a mental, emotional. Like, we will integrate all of these. We will do a little bit of integration just by understanding. The integration is done already, but we will navigate a little bit the entire multi-dimensionality of what it means to be human in these times, in these human bodies. And yeah, stay tuned for that as well. Tune into it. It's already on my profile, and I'm excited for that as well, to do this with you guys. And yeah, that's it. If you feel inspired, if whatever I said feels inspirational to you, and you want to support me do this more and show up more and more, and do this lives with you guys, I appreciate any donations. It helps me grow, it helps me give back more, and so on. It's a fair way of how the universe works, and I appreciate everything you feel to share with me. And if you don't want to give, that's also fine. I'm not expecting anything. It's appreciated, and it helps me grow more, for sure. So yeah, thank you for being here. And yeah, you can connect with me through the page, through the profile, if you feel like it. And see you next time, guys. I hope this makes sense. And yeah, I love you, infinite love for your journey. Have an amazing year from now on to, I hope, 2021, who's gonna be a whole nother story for you and for everyone on this planet. And it will be, we're gonna start more to embody who we truly are as beings, and do our work here on the planet more and more, and be at service and stay in our sovereignty and creator power. And yes, um, see you guys. Much love.